to introduce one of the top distributors in the company, the host of this evening's call, Diamond Elite and Holistic Health Professional, Pat Anderson. Pat has been an entrepreneur, extremely successful in her own right, business owner for over 20 years, and she brings a wealth of knowledge to our company and to our industry, and she's growing a business right around the world, helping so many people. Pat, I'm so pleased to welcome you to the call, and I can't wait to hear what we have tonight. Welcome to you.
Well, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you taking the introductions, and I'm so excited about what you are doing in your business out in Ohio and so many places also around the world. Guys, this is exciting times in Zeech International. We've got so much going on. I had to take off last week. I just needed a break because I know this fall is going to explode. So tonight's call is all about the product. And I am so excited to have my guest on the line with me, Dr. Ben Bowers from Wichita, Kansas. And Dr. Ben has a wealth of knowledge. He's been in this business with me for, I guess, 5 years now. And I can't believe it's gone by so quick. But, you know, Dr. Ben, he's a chiropractor, board-certified internist. And tonight, we're going to talk a lot about the oils, and I know this is something that Dr. Ben uses in his practice, too. So, Dr. Ben, welcome to the call tonight.
Good evening, Pat. Thank you very much. Glad to be on the call.
Awesome. I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks at convention.
I am looking forward to that. It's going to be awesome to be out there with all of us again. It's going to be cool. Looking forward to it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Ben, you know, you've got a wealth of knowledge in and about Moringa. You've done more research than, I'm going to say, anybody in Zeja. What is it that really intrigues you?
You know, Pat, that's a real good question because it's coming up on 6 years when I first met you and we first got involved with this. And at that time, I did not want to have nothing to do with this industry, this business, or anything. And in fact, I was probably one of the biggest skeptics. And because of that skepticism and at the product of my sister, I really did my research into it. And I was shocked and amazed. Just to be honest with you, I teach all around the country, thousands of doctors. I write all kind of research manuals, and I just said I'd never really heard of this tree specifically, and that's why I kind of thought it was a bogus thing until I did my research. And then I've gone through probably over 3,000 different research articles on this product or this tree that's the base of this product. And just as a basis, what really impressed me when I started going through this was when I saw the value of what this natural substance could do in the essence for my patients in my practice. You know, all the anti-inflammatories, all the anti-aging, and I came up with a list of 20 different what I call my antis, right, that are, you know, peer-reviewed, empirical researched, and published about this tree. And I'm like, when I sat down and went through all this, and I remember talking this with my wife when we first got involved in this, and I said, how can I not bring this into my practice? If this thing is everything that all of the research, and I mean, you know, the top research centers of the world have looked at this tree, you know, in essence of, I think it's over several hundred different people have looked at this and researched, over 4,000 different, you know, research articles I've been able to find so far. And all the things that this tree literally does and has been doing for literally, you know, centuries. I mean, we got research dated back almost, before the time of Christ for sure, and it references other research articles 350 years prior to that. So we're talking about thousands of years of use that this tree has been used. And it's been documented, but nobody had ever truly brought this tree to a usable, friendly, usable, easy consumable concept. Because the first thing is of the 58 different varietals, you know, you have to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, so to speak, not apples to oranges. So that was one of the first things we looked at. Then the next thing we looked at within this is this does not grow in America, at least not the one that we need and that has so much benefit to it, all these 90 different certifiable nutrients in there. And when I really looked at what this is, and this was the genius of Ken Brailsford, and, you know, he says, and I agree, this was God ordained and inspired to bring this thing to America first and into the world after that. And fortunately, we had a man like Ken that had that foresight and that vision to see that this needed to be done. And then God, you know, again, instructed the right guy because he had the wherewithal to make it happen. And now I sit here, you know, 5, almost 6 years later, well above 2,000 patients, and people I've monitored in this product all this time. And I look at all the benefits that it's done for people. And I see what this is doing, and I'm going to be honest and tell you, after about 30 years of practice now, I sit here and go, how in the world did I practice before this and get the results I got? Because we're just getting extremely, accelerated results by the patients I put on this product. So that's kind of the biggest thing that really intrigues me about it. Is I'm all about results-based medicine, results-based healthcare. And this is what I teach my doctors all around the country. How do you get that? Because that's what we as consumers, we as patients are looking for. One of the things that I talk a lot about is everybody kind of is in what I call this survive health mode. In other words, we accept whatever we have. We don't like what it is, but, boy, I don't want to trade with somebody else, And when we look at what's happening within our health, majority of people, especially in North America, they're just simply in a survival mode within their health care. Yet we baby boomers, we want to go, dying, kicking, and screaming into the grave. We don't want to just go quiet into. And what we're finding in this process is that we have gotten so far away from real food in this country, and we eat all this junk food, which is really dead food. There's no nutritional value, and that's why we're having to consume 2 and 3 times the caloric intake that we did in you and I's lifetime just 20, 30 years ago, maybe up to 40 years ago now. And all of a sudden we're looking at all these disease entities and all these problems. And all of a sudden we have this product line, or this tree specifically, that's the base of our liquid nutritionals that we'll talk about. All of a sudden we're able to take this, and with these core nutritionals, we're seeing lives dramatically changed. And that's probably the biggest thing that's impressed me, not only about Moringa, but about ZG International and their ability to bring this purified, truly 100% natural organic thing to Americans, and now we get a benefit from something that we have over 4,000 years of use in. So it's a great product. As you can tell, I get excited about it. And trust me, I wasn't that excited 5 years ago. I fought this, and you and I know that with our conversation. I fought this for a couple of years. It took me a couple of years of using this in my practice before I could even begin to fathom and see how this could be something that's so, life-changing that it could literally change lives around the world. So I'm excited about what we have and what we're doing here.
Well, we both have seen, so many great health benefits to this. And, of course, on this call, we're not making any claims of curing or anything.
Right.
But it's just, when we give the body good nutrition, something has to change.
One of the things we talked about is that dynamic, progressive, generational aspect, right, or geodiametric aspect of what happens in the body. And you and I have seen this because now we've been involved with this 6 years, and we've seen the people's lives that have changed, and those at the beginning, those throughout, and those, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 years down the road. And I guess the key to me when I think about that survival of our health mode and our health mentality is that what we're really seeing here now is we have the potential to change from a survival sort of ordinary contemporary health concept to literally thriving and putting life back into that body, turning back on the power for the body to naturally heal whatever it needs to heal and do whatever it needs to do. And you give the body what it needs, and you kind of get out of the way. The body has that God-given innate ability to know how and what to do with the nutrients that it needs. And the biggest problem that we've been seeing, at least in my 30 years being in healthcare practice as a physician and a doctor, is that the nutrients aren't in there for the body to repair. And so it has to adapt and modify and change. All of a sudden, you give it, we're talking about all the key essential minerals, the key essential amino acids, the key essential fatty acids, the key essential fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble vitamins. All of a sudden, you give that to the body knows what to do with that, right? Mm-hmm. Again, so that's what we're seeing in our product line. That's what's so critical about it.
Okay. So we have a great Moringa line, and,
yes.
Tonight we're going to focus a little different, but, we have our pure nutrition. We have just an amazing weight management system. Oh. We've got a great skin care line, and all of that has the Moringa in it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's focus on the 2 new divisions coming up tonight. We have a new, totally natural sports line, and I'm excited now that it's all natural. I'm very excited about that. Tell me why we should be excited.
Well, first and foremost, the Ripstick sports supplementation / nutritional line that we have. What is really exciting to me as a certified sports physician, and I've been around sports for 27 years, being sports doctors from pro teams to little teams, little league teams, and watching what this is going to help us do. Here's one of the concepts that I have seen in my life. Now, you and I are in our mid-50s. We'll just keep it there. in the essence of what we look at is there's another whole generation below us, right, and even below them, that they're all into this healthy, life-giving support sports activity. And though our product line works exceptionally well for them on the core nutritionals, the liquid nutritionals, all right, even our energy fulfillment process that we have, our peak performance pack, it's like for our athletes that go out there and that expend all this extra energy basically and burn up all these other things, is we needed something to tap into that market. And I love what Dr. Plant came up with on the Ripsticks line, because we have 4 products here that are really critical. And the first one that's most important is the biggest problem that I see, and I treat people from all around the world, and so I can say this with a great authority, is that the biggest problem that I see in the human frame now is dehydration. Secondary to that then is going to be malabsorption syndrome, all right? So when I look at dehydration, the biggest thing that we're not doing is we're not putting enough hydrogen, which is what we need out of the water, back into the system. So all of a sudden we have a product that's called Hydrate that has all the right aspects to turn all these systems back on and get your body to upregulate the natural ability to start repairing and regenerating itself via energy production. So Hydrate's going to be one of those things that actually help us upregulate that. So anybody and everybody can use that, all right? So that's what I love about that product. Then the next product that we're actually going to talk about is that we're going to talk about those who go out and do this actual physical activity, whether they're doing CrossFit, whether they're doing weightlifting, whether they're doing cardio, whether they're doing biking, running, et cetera, whatever. All of a sudden, we have this Ignite product that's really designed to get the musculature ready to fire and ready to give us great activity processing. And I love it because we upregulate into the brain as well, so we get what are called these neurotransmitters, which gives us hand and eye coordination. So now all of a sudden, as we're doing these sports, we're on fire more, right? In other words, we can fire the muscles off faster. And with the neurotransmitter connection, we're able to process and see it so people can hit balls better, catch balls better, run better. They can do things. They can anticipate where a ball is going to be or whatever it is in their sport. All of a sudden, it's like their body's alive, right? Now, the beauty about that is all of a sudden, every system is turned on to initiate and be able to perform better in their sport, right, or their activity. Then after that, we have kind of like this in-between product that's called the Fuel. And the Fuel is really designed, from my perspective as a physician, as a doctor looking at this, the Fuel is really designed for those who are expending a lot of energy over a prolonged period of time. In other words, they're out there exercising 40 to 60-plus minutes, whether you've got someone doing a half marathon or full marathon. We have somebody out there doing a 15 to 20-mile run. We have somebody out there doing a 20, 30, 40-mile bike ride or whatever, whether there's somebody who's expending a lot of energy over a prolonged period of time. What this is going to do, this is going to come in and actually protect them on the first case, but we're going to upregulate the body's ability to process that energy without totally dehydrating them and without knocking out all the essentials that they need within their system, all right? And then the fourth one that I love within this product line is what we're going to have is the Recover, all right? Now, the Recover product is really designed after the workout's over, after the process is there, when a lot of the galactic and the lactic acid processes start processing through the muscles and through all the fibrils. All of a sudden, this is going to come in and clean that up and help repair that with the branched-chain amino acids, all these different components, and get the body to repair quicker and faster so they can actually recover faster from their workout, from their event. So I love that product line in the sense that it's 100% natural now. We can really utilize that, and we're seeing great dynamic effects in some of our athletes in them using that, all right? And, I mean, I got people that go out and work hard all day. They do hard physical activity. And between the Hydrate and the Recover, man, they respond better, they sleep better, they get up the next day with more energy again. So I love the Ripsticks fitness supplementation nutrition line. It's great. It really is.
It really is. And what I like about it is it's its own entity, okay? Yes. So we are now appealing to a totally new clientele, new prospect, et cetera, that maybe they didn't want to try our Moringa products, but now they're loving that product and they're going, well, hey, now maybe I'll try the Moringa.
And for those in what I call the 20 to 40 group, so please nobody be offended by that statement, but in the 20 to 30s even, they're healthy, they're vibrant, they're doing all these things. They go, what? I don't have any issues I need to worry about this. Great. In other words, it's kind of like one of my sisters said to me the other day. She goes, you're just not old enough to appreciate that yet, meaning that when you get to that age, you're going to be glad, that you don't have those pains and all those problems. And I jokingly tell my patients, if I could prevent, disease or entities from coming on you, you are never going to know what you're going to miss, right? Well, that's kind of what happens in the 20 to 30-year-olds, unless they do go out and hurt themselves. But when we look at all the different, professional athletes, even to just what I call weekend warrior syndrome athletes, meaning they go out there and they do, the soccer, they do the football, they do the baseball, et cetera, all those things, and they're getting better. That's what's interesting, because now all of a sudden they go, well, I didn't think I was bad, but all of a sudden I start taking these products and I feel how much better I am. Wow, that, you're right. It's turning on an entire new industry. I mean, this is a $20 billion a year industry that we're stepping into that, now we have something that's going to give us a great foothold, if you will, and help a lot of these people that are out there doing this kind of events.
Well, for me, I am totally excited about the essential oils. I can't even remember a time I didn't use essential oils. It's just one of those things. You got a problem, you pick up the oil and put it on the spot. So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time talking about oils and, maybe some of the things that they're good for. Because, we all have our favorites and the ones that we're going to use all the time. But it was really kind of interesting that Zija picked to send out as samples to all their distributors the lavender, the lemon, and the peppermint. Because those, to me, are the three, major ones.
You're absolutely right. And the whole thing that I love about the essential oils, all these aspects, and we've talked about this before, is, what is an essential oil? It's not something essential to life, but it's the essence of how they pull it out, that you're pulling out the very, I almost want to say the very aspect, if you will, the very life particulate of the plant or the flower, et cetera, that they're pulling it out of. And when you look at what that does, now you're getting at, for example, we just talked about like lavender, just for example. How many pounds of lavender does it take to get an ounce of oil out of that? I may be off on this a little bit, but there's something like it's 150 different pounds to get that ounce. So in essence, when you take an essential oil of these, whether it's lemon, pepper, et cetera, whatever, peppermint, all these different components, it's like you're getting hundreds of pounds of that very essential aspect of that oil. And that's what's going to be critical, and that's why we find that they're so powerful, because now all of a sudden you have this very nature or essence of that plant that you're either putting onto your system, or you're breathing it in, or you're putting it in water and you're drinking it down. And man, it's just so much more powerful than if you just sat there and, for example, just ate a lemon or whatever, by getting the lemon oil. And that's the criticalness that we start seeing with all these different components about what all these oils do. So it's exciting. It really is. I mean, you and I are just jiving on this, man. We're ready to go.
Well, and for me, Ben, what I'm excited. Let's just hit the lavender. The lavender itself is so antibiotic, antiviral, anti-inflammatory. And so when we take the Moringa and put it internally, then we're putting this topically. Oh, my gosh. It's just going to work on so many different areas.
Pat, we talk about there's only 4 ways in this body, right? Number 1, we breathe. Number 2, we swallow, either drink or food, right? Number 3, we absorb through the skin, right? So that's one of the ways in. And then you have something that will penetrate a barrier. There's 4 barriers. So one of the things that we talk about is the skin barrier. It's, the body's first line of defense, the mechanism to defend us against our environment, our world. The second line is going to be the lung barrier, right, because we're inhaling all the stuff that's in air and, the 40 different components that are in atmospheric air. So when we talk about using this oil that absorbs into it, first of all, it's natural, and with the oil that it's embedded into, the body knows how to pull it in and use it, whether it's a short chain or medium chain fatty acid. The body knows what to do with that oil, right? And the fact that it's a pure oil that this body was designed to use, all of a sudden you're going to get some pretty phenomenal results from it. So you're absolutely right. When we combine this on top of what we have with the Moringa, and we talk of that inner health and outer beauty, the whole aspect is that the beauty of the body begins from the inside out, right? So as we're putting all this pure nutrition and all this, natural organic stuff that the body knows what to do with, when we put that into the system and it starts going through our systems and repairing and regenerating and creating and removing pain, I mean, as you talk about all the antibiotic, antibacterial, antifungal properties that are of like lavender, right? And the fact that, you put it on certain spots on your body and all of a sudden you start relieving them. One of my doctors here yesterday was having a bad headache, and I said, hey, just go try this lavender oil, And, man, he put it on the base of his head where I told him to put it, and all of a sudden he goes, are you kidding me? In 10 minutes, that thing was gone, and I'm feeling good. He says, I woke up this morning even feeling better than I did the day before. And I'm going, yeah, just because you used oil. Sure, Doc, right, yeah. And he goes, what's in that stuff, Dr. Ben? I go, just a little bit of life. It's the magic of life, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so he says to me, he goes, what are we getting at? I mean, are you ordering that by the case? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, but that's what we see.
Exactly, and learn what we have to learn as we bring the oils into our company is the combinations. So like you were just saying for a headache, well, I would take the lavender and I would take the peppermint and mix them together and put on the back.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about, this combination. And, however many oils you look at, and there's, some discussion about actually how many there are. And typically one of the manuals I deal with is over 100 different of these oils. And the aspect is, finding out those right combinations to put those things together. And that's what I love what Dr. Plant's been studying for all these years and understanding how you bring the very essence of these oils out and the essentialness of those essences, right, that have a dynamic effect. And you know what? It's going to be a little different for most people. Everybody's mileage is going to vary type of a concept because their body has its own unique desire, own unique need that it has. But what we have is literally thousands and thousands of years of understanding the significance of what these oils do, right? And so you have all this, and when we look at the research that's being done on the aspect of what these oils are doing, it's going to be phenomenal here in a couple of weeks, guys. I'm telling you, when this thing launches, baby, you better hang on because this is going to take off, and you're going to see probably some of the greatest growth that I think is going to happen because of what people are already using. I mean, a lot of my patients are already using a lot of essential oils. Right, we use them in our practice. We use a lot of different things that we do. And the fact that they're going to be able to take those and have those available to them in their own wellness cabinet at home, so to speak, it's going to be phenomenal. And these different variables that we're able to, rub on the skin, or we're able to put in water and actually drink it, or put it in a moisturizer and actually inhale them, wow. All of a sudden, the three ways into the body, all right, that are dynamic to the body, we're now going to have an effect on. I mean, it is going to be exciting just to see. And I put that on top of the fact what Moringa is already doing inside the body. Oh,
it's a great
baby.
Combination.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, it was funny the other day. I was talking to somebody, and they go, oh, Zija's getting into New Age things like the oils. And I go, New Age? I says, oils have been around forever. I said, wasn't it the three wise men that gave frankincense,
exactly.
for Jesus?
Yeah.
It's just always been around. So... I'm
and that's the beauty of it. And just me saying this right out here, I mean, there's nobody. I've said this for 4 or 5 years now. There's nobody that compares to what we have with Moringa. I mean, when you compare apples to apples or oranges to oranges, right, and you go out and you look at different Moringa leaves and all those different things, don't even compare. I mean, we have 100 times more potency than what anybody else can come up with. Well, why do we have that? Well, a team of 17 scientists took them a year to figure all that out, all right? That's what I love about Ken Brailsford's ability to bring this together. And even with bringing Dr. Plant in on these oils, he's been studying this stuff for over 12 years and got the research to back it up and all the stuff that he's putting together. And all of a sudden, you put those combinations together, ladies and gentlemen, nobody, and I mean nobody in this world has these combinations. We're the only ones. I don't care what you compare us to. There is no comparison. I mean, whatever the bar is, we're going to be so far higher above that bar, we're going to set that new bar. Just because what we're going to have with the Moringa, right, and even you take in our Ripsticks or Sports line, and you put in our Gen M line, and you put in our essential oils, nobody is going to be able to compare to what the results that we're going to be seeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just phenomenal. I mean, I know what results I'm getting with using pure essential oils that I'm getting from Europe that I've been using for years, right? And put that in with my Moringa patients, and all of a sudden I get phenomenal results. And when I put this, the new Ameo line on there, it's going to just be that much more phenomenal.
Well, Ben, I can't wait. I'm going to be there early to go to convention. I'm going to be sitting in on all the classes.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're going to have some experts talking to us along with, Dr. Plant. They're going to be educating us for a couple of days, and it's just going to be amazing.
When I think about the essential oils, and I talk about the power that's in essential oils, and then I talk about the thrivability that we're going to be able to have in our bodies with the Moringa and the Ameo line, the essential oils, you know what? There's only one thing that's going to be more powerful, and that's going to be at the summit. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, the people that are going to be at that summit, what you're going to learn and what you're going to feel from that summit and come away with, you're going to be head and shoulders above everybody else. You got to get there. That's all there is to it.
Awesome, Ben.
So,
well, and I will see you there.
I will be there early too, my young lady.
Okay. I really appreciate everybody coming on to the line. And so with that, I'm going to pass the call back to Michael.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Dr. Ben. I think I speak on behalf of myself and all of ZJ Nation. We give you guys a huge thank you for all the fantastic information that you've shared tonight. I know I have a couple pages of notes here, and I'm excited for a convention too. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us. Tonight's call was predominantly on ZJ International's product line. For those of you that may be open to getting more information on ZJ International's business opportunity, we do have calls for that as well. We happen to be having a call tomorrow evening at the same time, 9:25 Eastern, same dial-in number and conference bridge. So please join us on that. And I highly encourage you to get back to the person that invited you to this call and get any of your questions answered. And join us on our ZJ team.